This is Brother Ron Herbert, also known as R2C2H2 Artist. You are watching WeAllBeTV, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Can you dig it?
Guess who's back? Back again. It's Brother Ron. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Back again. Brother Ron. Tell a friend. We all be. Da do 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 do. Welcome, everybody. This is Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2 Artist, and this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I've been putting it off, but it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you, but I did put up some dope videos for you all. Y'all see, I've been devouring the Judge Joe Brown interview that I did. Y'all taking in all the segments, breathing it in, breathe out. Judge Joe Brown. By the way, Judge Joe Brown, his birthday today. He is celebrating the 54th anniversary of his 21st life affirmation day. So we got the judge in his golden years doing what it do, being very useful. So shout out to the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. Send Brown downtown. Mayor for Tennessee, or Memphis, Tennessee, 2023. Judge Joe Brown. So I just wanted to get on here to talk about some things that's been on my mind. There's a lot going on in the world, people. It's easy to get lost in the whirlwind, but like Marcus Garvey said, look for me in the whirlwind, in the eye of the storm, in the calm of it all, trying just to process it like you all. Staring at the world from my rear view, the late great Machiavelli once rapped about. There's a lot to process, but I'm very concerned. I'm not panicky, but I am concerned about the state of affairs as it relates to Black people. Not all people. There's a lot of things going on in the world, but Black people. And it's time for those who know to be heard. It's not a time to be on the sidelines. Not a time to be cowering or whimpering in a corner or feeling sorry for yourself. Now's the time to engage and galvanize. And we're living in the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. And you need to recognize this is a defining moment for my generation. You know, a lot of us are looking for leadership, looking the person staring back at you from the mirror. If that person is not a friend or somebody you recognize as a friend, then you have no friends. And I'm letting you know. And I had to get on here. And right now I'm in a state of mind. I'm 42 years young. And I never thought I'd get this far, really, be honest with you. And, I didn't know what I would be doing. But God in his sense of humor or infinite wisdom kept me around for this moment. I've been getting prepared for this, but I just want to share what's on my mind. Just my opinion, my worldview, my perspective based on my experiences and things I picked up along the way. But I think this is a time that we need folks who know to share what they know. Because knowledge, in a way, is the currency of the universe, but also we're taking donations. You can cash out your support, $R2C2H2. You can also PayPal, Google Pay, and Zelle your support at R2C2H2@gmail.com. You could buy Art of His Art, R2C2H2.com. I'm actually on a way of creating some things for my art to be more accessible. Because I know y'all like to get big screen TVs. I like to have them big art size canvases. I'm working on something right now in the process of going through it, but we'll see. And I'll share with y'all. You also wear Art of His Art. I got one of my Dr. King shirts on. You go below this description box if you're on YouTube. Below the description box, there's our official shell from our Teespring website. You can access that and buy you some artivist gear to wear for the summer, because it's definitely gonna be a hot run summer. But y'all, you know, keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes on the prize at the same time. So we're gonna get into it. Tell a friend, and let the good times roll, or let the games begin. Tell a friend. I actually went to San Antonio for my mom's Dr. Callie Hurd's graduation, like a one in the flesh. You know, like she worked for about a decade to earn that doctorate. If anybody got an advanced degree, know that a lot of times not what you do in the classroom, it's the politics outside the classroom that determines who get what they sought to get. My mom spent a decade and some change chasing her dream. She made it a reality. So there's a shout out to Dr. Callie Hurd. I have not really posted anything on social media about her accomplishments recently. I'm still recovering from going to San Antonio. I had to drive down there. I drove my mom and drove her back. So like this drive down to San Antonio, man, that's a ride. It's like 745, 760 miles from Memphis. So I drove that, you know, in one day. It took me about 12 hours, took me about 14 hours getting back, because, you know, you got to stop and rest. I didn't know I still had that type of marathon in me, but I do. But that was a long drive. And San Antonio was an interesting place. I know some of you all make San Antonio your home. And brother, shout out to Isaiah, I believe, who lives in San Antonio. He said he would have, if he had known I was down there. I go places. A lot of times I don't tell people where I've been to after I came back home. You know, I don't always tell folks where I've been. But San Antonio is an interesting place. There's not a lot of black people in San Antonio. You compare it to Houston, like, yeah, there's a lot of black folks in Houston. But San Antonio is like maybe 3 hours some change removed from Houston. And there are hardly no black people in San Antonio. And the black people that are in San Antonio, I am told they're on the east side of San Antonio. It's on the east side. It's a lot of Mexicans. They run it down in San Antonio. So, but you know, it was cool experience. You know, people, it's weird because downtown San Antonio, I don't see how they be driving, because the roads are not bad. Like, I'm in Memphis, potholes, sinkholes everywhere in Memphis. I mean, they constantly be fixing the streets of Memphis, but there's always some pothole or sinkhole. You understand? But in San Antonio, downtown especially, the roads are not that bad, but there's hardly, you can see hardly the traffic lane lines. You know, like the dotted lines that you see to help separate the different lanes. They're faint. They're hardly to be seen. But people, some way, they find a way to make it through. But I was like, wow, you can't see these lines. I ain't talking about nighttime. I'm talking about in the daytime. They're just faint. It's like they're almost invisible. But people find a way to make their way around the town. A lot of trucks, of course, it's Texas, F-150s, Calvin and Hobbes stickers and stuff like that on the back of trucks. Like these trucks like to race each other on the expressway. A lot of accidents we seen. Luckily, God was watching over us. The universal God had our back in protection, along with the righteous ancestors. So we made it through. But my mom, she walked the stage, like a year delay, but she finally made it. Not necessarily, I think, well, not a year delay, but you know, it was like long enough, because we supposed to went to San Antonio, I believe, last year, but because of what happened, I think, well, there's so much stuff went on last 2 years. Everything's just like, I think it is like been days, it's been weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's running together, but she was determined to, you know, walk across that stage, and we made it happen. Had to drive almost 800 miles to do so. But I mean, I drove 800 miles. That gas ain't no joke, y'all. I mean, that gas ain't no joke. And also, I had some issues with my car. It got to a little fender bender. That's another story altogether. But I know I'm in a deficit right now, but hopefully we can make it up. And if you love what I'm doing on WeAllBe, give to the gas fund, give to the car fund, because I plan on traveling to a couple of places this summer to uncover some hidden Black history in the Carolinas and other places. So if you want to support that, if you have benefited from the work that I've been doing, so people think this is free. This is not free for me. It's a cost for me. It's a physical, mental, spiritual cost that I do what I do for the love of the people. It's things that people don't understand. People say, well, why you don't podcast more? Well, I like to get on here all the time. It's so much information I find that I want to share with people, but my time be getting away from me. I mean, I want to give y'all so much, but like, I'm on like a one-man crew, a one-man movement. So a lot of stuff that y'all take for granted, people want to criticize. I mean, I'm just by myself doing this, and people say they want to help, but far in between, people talk the talk, but a lot of times they don't walk the walk. And I've been doing this for a long time. And like, even when people criticize, when I went to Uvalde, because Uvalde is about 87 miles away from San Antonio, I told my mom, since we down here, let's pay our respects to the fallen in Uvalde. And you got folks that live in San Antonio, that live in Texas, that never been to Uvalde. I didn't know it existed. It's like, I went to school in St. Louis. I didn't know nothing about no Ferguson. People say, you know about Ferguson? Why should I know about it? You didn't know about Ferguson until Mike Brown. So why you say, well, I should know about Ferguson? There's a lot of stuff going on in your city you don't know about. I come to your city, I find out more about what's going on than you've been there all your life. People are weird about this stuff. You got folks that live in Chicago, never been outside the south side or the west side of Chicago. These folks been living in Chicago all their life. Chicago's a big city. But people don't understand that it's a misperception about the South. The further north you get, even out west, the more segregated things become. The South, we was always close. Black and whites were always in close proximity. See, that's a misinterpretation. Black folks and white folks always lived in close proximity in the South. It's when you get out into the north and the west, even out the east, when everything become more segregated. I ain't gonna never forget, I was at a Greyhound some years ago. So a black woman, an elder from Alabama, and she was telling me about her father had a very prosperous grocery business down in Alabama. And she told me that his biggest customers were white people. White folks patronized his store. They were some of his biggest customers. And this is Alabama, Klan, 4 little girls in the church, Birmingham, and all that stuff. They're Alabama. So we got this misperception of things. Like even in Memphis, Ida B. Wells' birthday is coming up July 16th. Ida B. That's my Black History Dream Girl, one of them. And one of the biggest things was the people grocery lynchings that made her career, that made her go into a God work. The people grocery business or people grocery stores ran by her best friend, Thomas Moss, and his business associates. And but their store not only catered to Black people, you had people of all backgrounds and persuasions that patronized their store. You got to understand, some of the biggest lynching victims were business people. Black business people were lynched. Think about Black Wall Street. Think about, even as we come out the 4th of July, or the 4th of July, it's the 5th of July, as I do this, you think about the fact that East St. Louis race massacre happened over the 4th of July. That's back in 1917. See, y'all worry about Highland Park and all this other stuff. I mean, this stuff is horrible. This stuff is terrible. But think about what happened to Black people in East St. Louis back in 1917. Black folks were slaughtered. And I'm going to tell you something and make it loud and clear. Most of our race, all these race massacres and riots and race wars started because of police misconduct or police not doing their job. Yeah, police misconduct. This will start a lot of these race massacres and riots. But see, this is what I'm sitting with. Y'all not sitting with this. Y'all worry about KD and Kyrie Irving and the Lakers. And I'm sitting with the history. I'm communicating with the ancestors every day. I'm reminded of the sacrifices that we had to endure just to be here. See, this stuff sits with me. It don't sit with like y'all can escape. Y'all can look at BET. I have not looked at the BET Awards. I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna get into that because we're gonna talk about P Valley tonight. And my thing is, you know, I went to school with the lead star, one of the stars of P Valley, Brandy, who played Brandy Evans. Shout out to her, who played Mercedes. I'm gonna get into all this within under 2 hours. I'm gonna do a lot of what I can do under 2 hours, and hopefully I can keep on doing. But I need people's support. If you want to see more of what I have to offer, you want me to bring more people to you all, because you know, Judge Joe Brown, his birthday today, right? Nobody was checking for Judge. No, it's not a brag, but Judge was already the man. You understand? My job has been to introduce people who are already accomplished to a different audience, to sometimes even a younger audience. That's what I did for Dick Gregory, and that's what I did with Judge Joe Brown. I started interviewing Judge Joe Brown in 2014 when he was running for DA in Memphis, district attorney. And it went from there. But nobody wasn't checking for Judge like that. They assumed that he was just a TV Hollywood character. They didn't know about his background as being a serious lawyer, defense lawyer, criminal attorney, prosecutor, the first Black prosecutor in Memphis history. They didn't know about the cases like his involvement with James Earl Ray, the rifle and all that stuff. Judge was a serious cat. And then I didn't know about his history from California, being a part of the Black Panther Party, recruiting Bunchy Carter and Elaine Brown at UCLA, being there when they assassinated Bunchy Carter and John Huggins at UCLA. The things he played a part in, they all came about because we started interviewing him since 2014. And then that opened the door for other people to get a different perspective on Judge and who this man was and what he stood for. And Judge is an amazing character, and I'm blessed that I have had access to him, and also to help him. Now everybody else is catching on and doing their thing, and that's cool. And like what Dick Gregory would tell me, when the universe so God uses you, sometimes he does not leave a fingerprint or evidence that you was the one that helped get people to a certain point, and that's okay, because I'm doing this. Like, this is weird to do this for me. I look at people my age, they are very well established, they got families, they got homes, property. I don't got a lot of that, man. Like I said, it's like every time I'm operating from a deficit, but I'm never at a deficit when it comes to my heart, my love for the people, my spirit, and my will, and my ability to connect the dots and be willing to go out there and even make myself a fool, be made a fool of. People make fun of me, and you got to develop a thick skin, but still be empathetic and compassionate, but don't let yourself get too burnt out on things. So I'm grateful that Judge is getting his acclaim. He's getting his flowers, and that's a beautiful thing. Same thing with Bobby Dick Gregory. I remember I saw him in Kansas City almost a year before he passed, in August of 2016. I saw him at the Improv at their place in Kansas City, and he was telling me, Ron, you know, I'm more famous now than I was when I was, you know, a younger guy. And I'm saying, how this so? Because, you know, you only had 3 networks back then, you know, but Dick was a household name back then. But what he was saying was that he felt good that he was connecting with younger audience, like a younger generation of folk who still had, you know, they had some energy. And it kept them around a little bit longer to get the message out. And that's why Dick Gregory rarely, I don't think he ever turned down anybody's interviews. And he wasn't that hard to find, even though people thought he was hard to find. He was always listed in the phone book. Even his cell phone was listed in the phone book. And he told me, Ron, share my contact with people. And I did that. I remember sometimes his wife, beautiful Lillian Gregory, or even his son Christian, would call or email me. Sometimes I won't get all the messages that Christian would send me. But his wife said, you the one that's sending people to here. I'm getting calls from all over the place. People faxing me this and that. But Dick told me to put that out there. But at the end of the day, they were grateful that Dick was acknowledged the way he was before he passed. Because sometimes, like, you know, Dick would tell people like MLK III, Martin Luther King III. He told him himself, look, get with Ron. He'll put your stuff out there. He'll put your stuff out there. And I don't know what it is that I have this ability to do that I can help people shine and amplify what they're doing. I guess it's a gift and a curse to me, because a lot of times I get written out the narrative, I get marginalized, or made invisible. But that's not why I do what I do. Because I know the work speaks for itself. It's like my artwork. This stuff will outlive me, and that's a beautiful thing. But it's a frustrating thing to be a person that I got needs like everybody else. You know, people, you know, as much as I talk, I like to be to myself. You know, and people call sometimes. They want to talk on the phone for hours. But, you know, I'm a human being like you. I need sleep. I need to eat. And I want to be loved like everybody else. Just don't look at me as no machine or robot. Look at me as a human being like you. I want to be loved too. I want to be accepted. I want to go where people want to accept me. You know, it's weird to go to family get-togethers, and they call me the troublemaker. Not because I went to prison, I got a long rap sheet, but because I trouble them with what I represent as being a truth teller. I make them recognize all is not well. You know, y'all focus on sports, but the game of life is the biggest game going. Everyday living is a game 7. You understand? Every day is a game 7. Y'all talking about, well, I gotta look at Super Bowl and the playoff. Every day you live is a game 7. Every day is an elimination game. Every day you live. So you make every second, minute, breath count. And I'm getting to a tangent, but I'm saying, like, y'all talking about we shouldn't celebrate the 4th of July. We fought to make this country what it is. We are the face of America. This is our land. First to die was Crispus Attucks. The cat that won it was a slave. James Armistead Lafayette, look him up. He won the war. A double agent, a spy, a shapeshifter like Dick Gregory talk about. You can't tell me this ain't my land. My people fought in every war, even before the start of this damn republic, this project. This is our country more than anybody. You can't tell me that people that just came off here a generation or two ago, or just came here last month, got more rights to this place than I do. I could name the names of my people. My great-great-great-grandfather, Frank Moon, with his twin brother and his other brother. They fought in the American Civil War, U.S. colored troops. He lost his twin brother from wounds suffered at the Battle of Vicksburg. But thank God for the black men who fought in my family on all sides. You know, people think that this is crazy. Black folks always catching hell. Think about the Houston race war. I don't call it a riot because it's a race war. The Houston race war massacre of 1917. You had black men in uniform, the 24th, disrespected by white police officers down in Houston. They disrespected a black woman. I want to say her name was Sarah Travers. I don't know. I ain't going to say all that. But look at the movie called The 24th that came out several years ago. That's a great movie to get an understanding about the tension of that time. You got black folks getting lynched every day or day and a half in this country. This Houston race war happened August 23rd, 1917. Just 1 month removed from the East St. Louis race massacre. You had black babies getting bashed in the head. You had black children and people, their house getting set on fire in East St. Louis, getting forced to be back into the burning house. You had black people being thrown into the Mississippi River, drowned. They're doing all types of hell to black. And most of these black folks were getting killed were not even from East St. Louis. They were from Mississippi. But they went from one hell to another hell. They migrated from one hell to another hell. This happened during the celebration of the country's birth. Think about that verse they left out in the national anthem about killing the slave. Y'all mad at Colin Kaepernick. I don't really care for Colin Kaepernick, but by him even bringing attention, I don't even know he knew about that verse. That he talking about death to the slave. Francis Scott Key wrote that, who was a slave owner from Maryland. He wrote that crap. And y'all stand for Jackie Robinson, legitimate American hero. Y'all misunderstand Jackie Robinson. When he was down in Fort Hood, he was riding on the bus next to a light-skinned black woman. The bus driver thought he was sitting next to a white woman. The MPs thought he was sitting next to a white woman, the military police. He said, I'm in the military. You can't tell us where we're supposed to sit. Jackie Robinson got so mad, he about to draw down on them fools. This is a black dude down in Texas. Military uniform. They won't mention black folks in military uniform. You understand? And he got court-martialed. He beat it. But read about the primary sources, how the white officers view Jackie Robinson. They thought he was a troublesome you-know-what. And it was Joe Louis that helped Jackie Robinson get into the officer training program. And they screwed over Joe Louis. Joe Louis gave money to the government, did free boxing exhibitions for the government, and the IRS destroyed Joe Louis. This man gave money to the government. Functional, illiterate Joe Louis was more of a patriot than any of them fools up in Congress. This is when black folks were catching hell. Joe Louis did things. He used his fist in the ring to defeat fascism abroad, but not at home. Max Mellon was more of a friend to Joe Louis, the German fighter from Adolf Hitler's Germany, was more of a friend to Joe Louis than his own government that he supported with his blood, sweat, and tears. No, Joe Louis is buried with so-called honors in Arlington National Cemetery, not that far from Medgar Evers, another veteran who was shot and massacred or lynched before his family. They killed Medgar Evers before his family. He was just 37 years young. You know, that play about Dick Gregory, turn me loose. Those supposed to have been his last words to the hospital. When they blew a hole in his chest and back, whatever, he said, turn me loose. 37 years young. Veteran, Red Ball Express. He was in the Red Ball Express like my maternal grandfather, Arthur Grip Taylor. He probably knew Medgar. They're both from Mississippi, but they're both part of Red Ball Express. He was the truck drivers, mostly black. That was delivering supplies to General Patton and Third Army as they advanced across Europe to Berlin. And you look at Saving Private Ryan, my grandfather was a part of the D-Day invasion. But there's no black people except for Vin Diesel, who's a quasi mulatto, whatever Vin Diesel is. He was the only person of so-called color that was a soldier, U.S. soldier in Saving Private Ryan, but with black folks. Medgar Evers, my grandfather, Battle of the Bulge, he was there. He got injured in the Battle of the Bulge. So don't let them tell you about who that we don't belong here. This is our country. This is ours. Black man, this is your country. Black man, that's another thing. They are destroying us. They are destroying black men. I mean, I look at Hollywood. Now I see what Dr. Bill Cosby was trying to do. I get it now. You understand? But getting back to the fact that you go back to East St. Louis race massacre that happened on 4th of July. Black folks getting massacred in East St. Louis. The U.S. government ain't doing nothing about it. The governor of Illinois, none of them do nothing about it. Because like lynch law is a part of the national pastime. You understand? Like the Wilmington insurrection of 1898, everybody knew, the president of the United States knew what was going on in Wilmington, North Carolina. Wilmington was the fastest growing city in North Carolina. It was bigger than Charlotte. But that set him back. Wilmington was Atlanta before there was Atlanta. Black folks owned stuff. They ran businesses. They had a professional class and everything. This is where Michael Jordan is from. He was born in Brooklyn, but he's from Wilmington. Now, you know, you understand the mindset of Michael Jordan. He grew up in a sundown town. You look at Illinois. What happened in Illinois? The Highland Park. That's a very affluent area. Michael Jordan, I think, had a home or used to live there. Oprah. But, you know, it's some of the one of the wealthiest places in America. I think the median income in Highland Park is triple the national average. But Illinois, so-called land of Lincoln, the one who liberated slaves, Illinois is known for their sundown towns. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all think everything about the South. Black folks were living very comfortable in proximity with white folks in the South. Like I said earlier. But you go, the further north you go up, the more segregated it becomes. The more segregated it becomes. But Illinois is known for their sundown towns. It was a white professor who passed away last year. Look him up. He wrote books about sundown towns. He talked about Illinois. You had a town in Illinois where they'll ring a bell in a certain time of the day, let people know what time it was. Negro, you better not let that sun hit you on the way going down. The song St. Louis Blues by W.C. Handy was about sundown towns. I hate to see when that sun goes down. You understand? If you think about Cicero, Illinois, what it did to Michelle Clark and her family. Michelle Clark was one of the first Black female news television correspondents. She got killed in that Watergate airplane crash along with E. Howard Hunt's wife, Dorothy Hunt. You know, she was supposed to be interviewing Dorothy Hunt, I believe. And they got killed in that Watergate airplane crash. Look at the Watergate airplane crash that happened in Chicago, December 8th, 1972. We did a show about Michelle Clark on the anniversary a couple years ago. And I believe her boyfriend was a CIA guy, but some of the first people on the scene of the airplane crash was not the firemen or the police, it was the FBI. Because they gassed up that Dorothy Hunt was carrying. They said she had maybe 10,000. I heard she had millions of dollars on her person. That was hush money from the White House for the people involved in the Watergate thing. You know what? And the crazy thing about the Watergate thing, I've been looking at Gaslit on Stars with Julia Roberts playing Martha Mitchell, who was married to the Attorney General, John Mitchell, Nixon's Attorney General. But she had a big mouth. She would be like a superstar in today's world. If they had social media like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that and Twitter, Martha Mitchell would be like, she'll be a super celebrity right now. But the crazy thing about it is the things that happened in Watergate, if they happened in today's time, Richard Nixon probably could have stayed in the office. He probably could have stayed in the office. But what they don't tell you was a Black man that brought him down. And I like the fact that the series showcased Frank Will's story. Frank Will's a brother from Georgia who was just doing his job as a security guy at the Watergate complex. He kept on noticing as he made his rounds that there was tape on the door. And that was not supposed to be allowed. He kept on taking the tape off. Then he saw the tape was on there again. He called the police. He didn't know he was bringing down the most powerful man in the world when he did that. He also didn't know at the age of 24 that his life was over. He was blackballed. This guy was no type of political revolutionary. He was just a night watchman doing his job. And he got punished for doing his job. So Frank Wills said it himself. If he knew that his life would be over at 24, he would never had called the police. He would just mind his business, mind his Black business. But it cost him. And one thing Bobby Dick Gregory did employ Frank Wills at one point because he was blackballed. He went back home to Georgia. Frank Wills was so destitute that when his mama died, he could not even afford to bury his mama. From my understanding, he had to donate his mama's body to science because he couldn't afford to bury her. And then he died poor down in Georgia, I believe, maybe 20-something years ago in his early 50s. But he did play himself in the movie All the President's Man that showcased the heroes, so-called heroes, Bernstein and Woodard and Bernstein, the reporters for Washington Post, that was played by Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. And it's not a bad movie. I ain't seen it in a while. But Frank Wills actually did play himself in the movie, I believe. But it cost him, man. And all he was doing was his job. It's always costing Black men in this country just to be a man and just man up and do your thing. And getting back to the Houston race massacre, race war of 1917, you had Black men that stood up for a Black woman, that stood up for their own Black brother, because it was one of them that went to her aid or tried to figure out what was going on. They beat him down and arrested him. And the brothers thought that he got killed or whatever. Then they thought that the white folks in Houston was going to march on Camp Logan where they were stationed. And so they got their guns, they manned up, and they went to march on Houston and started shooting up everything. Killed a whole bunch of Houston police officers as well as white civilians. And it's like, they said it was the largest murder trial in U.S. history. I think he had either between, I'm gonna let y'all look that up because I'll do a show probably in Houston race massacre sometime in the near future. But he had initially hanged 13 Black dudes and sentenced the majority of them to life in prison. I think they hang anywhere between 13 and 19 Black guys. And they buried down at the National Cemetery, Sam Houston National Cemetery, I think, in San Antonio. if I was more aware of that and I had more time in San Antonio, I would have went to pay my respects to them brothers. Like I do. You know how I do it. But I'll be back in Texas sometime in the near future, and I'll pay my respects then. But I think 23 of them were sentenced to life imprisonment, and then the sentences were commuted. I think the last person was released maybe in 1935 or the 1940s. See, I'm gonna say all day because I want y'all to do the research on it. I've been knowing about this for years, so I'm just gonna put that out there. But you have black men that stood up for themselves. Even with the Tulsa thing, black men fought back. You were World War I veterans. See that? They were fighting back. According to the survivors, they said the black man killed so many white men down in Tulsa that the white folks had to dump the bodies in the Arkansas River because they had quicksand. It would have covered up all the real casualties. It wasn't until the black men turned their guns and themselves over to the so-called law, the National Guard. That's when Black Wall Street or Greenwood got burnt down to the ground. See, the black folks were actually winning because they were using military strategies they learned overseas. Because like they took an oath. In the military, you take an oath to protect the United States against enemies, both foreign and domestic. And to protect the black family, because we are Americans. And them brothers had the best, but we always believe in their laws more than they believe in their laws. Therein lies the problem. They don't even take their own laws seriously, because you think about it, they got enough laws on the book. You don't have to pass any more laws. Just enforce the ones that's already been passed. We had a golden era for black people. It's called Reconstruction, and it was actually working. Black folks became one of the most literate people in the country 20 years after slavery. It was most skilled, most literate people in the country, yet they used things like unions to disenfranchise the black working man. Unions were made to disenfranchise black men and keep us from working. We was the most skilled labor class in the country. We built this country. So you gotta, I'm telling a lot of stuff, but I don't know if people understand where I'm coming from with this stuff. Talk about Thursday. Okay, for example, like the R. Kelly thing, right? They used the Mann Act and the RICO Act. We all know that the Mann Act was formed to catch Jack Johnson, the king of boxing at the time. They used the same Mann Act to catch the king of R&B, R. Kelly. And both times, BS. Even with RICO, that was for organized crime. That wasn't for R&B singers. You think about R. Kelly. I mean, if you take him down for RICO, if he's part of a network and organization, where are his co-conspirators? But here's the rub. Y'all got to understand something. Like I brought it up before, the R. Kelly thing. R. Kelly and Elvis were both born January 8th. They're both Capricorns. Elvis Presley was born January the 8th, 1935. R. Kelly was born January the 8th, 1967. Both Capricorns, and Elvis died August 16th, 1977. The trial that's supposed to be featured some of R. Kelly's so-called co-conspirators is happening early August of this summer, August 2022. I believe August 1st, 2022. Don't be surprised if they try if R. Kelly is no more in August. I'm just letting y'all know, because they put him on suicide watch at that Brooklyn Detention Center. Is that the same one where they had Jeffrey Epstein on the suicide watch allegedly? What I'm saying is R. Kelly said, I'm not suicidal. And why should he be suicidal? He really do still have a lot to live for. It's a thing called found an appeal. And also, he knows a lot of information on other people. He could bring down, if he is a part of a network, he could bring down a whole bunch of people with him. Like Nino Brown in New Jack City threatened, I'm going to bring down everybody. But you think about even the RICO thing, like you look at Frank Sinatra. Like I did a podcast on Frank Sinatra and Young Thug and Rico, right? What's Rico got to do with it? Frank Sinatra, you got photos of Frank Sinatra fraternizing with mob bosses. I mean, these legitimate La Cosa Nostra mafia kingpins and future mafia dons. Like there's a famous picture of Frank Sinatra, got his arms wrapped around Lee Carlo Gambino, who was head of the Gambino crime family. Then you got Paul Castellano, who was the successor to Carlo Gambino of the Gambino crime family in the picture. Then you got Jimmy Fracciano, who led the L.A. La Cosa Nostra, Los Angeles Mafia. They was all in the picture with Frank Sinatra. But Frank Sinatra never went to jail for associating with the Goodfellas. His family came up in organized crime. His dad ran a tavern up in New Jersey, connected. His mom connected. His mom performed abortions back in the day. And she was very powerfully politically up in Hoboken. Her brothers were all made men, from my understanding. His uncles were mobbed up. Frank came up through the mob. One of his best friends, Skinny D'Amato, helped him break into business. He ran a club in, I think, Atlantic City. Look at who his godfather was, who got assassinated by the mob. He supposed to have been having lunch with Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, and they never showed up. They said they forgot about it, and I think one of them had the mumps. They already knew what time it was. They were told not to show up. How about that? You know, we talked about this already. But Frank O. Blue Eyes never incriminated himself, as far as I'm concerned, in his songs, like a Young Thug or anybody else, or these rappers. You know, he never incriminated himself, and you know, he played gangsters in TV shows, in the movies. I liked him as Nathan Detroit in Guys and Dolls with Marlon Brando and Sky Masterson. I believe I got the names right. Then I mistake. I said Chicago. He sung the song Chicago in the movie Robin and the Seven Hoods with Sammy Davis Jr. and the Rat Pack. They were playing gangsters. They were glorifying Chicago gangland style. This is before the drill rappers. You know, white folks invented the drive-by. Chicago gangsters back in the 20s, they invented the drive-by. It wasn't an old block or none of that. Well, white folks that invented that stuff. But yeah, black folks get all the blame. But I'm saying, in the movie, Frank Sinatra did Robin and the Seven Hoods. He did Guys and Dolls. Glorified gangsterism. That's American life. It's like what H. Rap Brown, who's another name now, he said that violence is as American as cherry pie. American history is a long gangster rap album. But yeah, but R. Kelly, you know, he's facing 30 years in prison. And he shouldn't be the only one facing that charge. Matter of fact, let's do something right now. And thank y'all, the people who's tuning in, who donated and plan on donating. I have not been reading the comment section. I've been focusing trying to get this thing done within 2 hours. It's like I'm rambling, but I'm not really rambling. I'm giving you information that you can actually utilize and look up for yourself, because it's very important that we do our own research. I just want to thank Robin P. Stanley for your donation, Brother Al Kirk for your donation, and Fabian for your donation. We love you all madly. And for those who plan on donating more, is always welcome. We welcome that. But I didn't want to put something on your mind. A lot of us get caught up in this silliness called celebrity, and it's BS. But I just want to share something. See that, folks? That's Aaliyah's uncle, right? Named Barry Hankerson. You see that guy? And I want to talk about this. I'm going to put this in your mind. Barry Hankerson, Aaliyah's uncle, once worked as R. Kelly's manager. Witnesses said he introduced Aaliyah to the predator, who eventually made her his teen bride. Hankerson was named among Kelly's employees in a court document this week. So you think about Lady Maxwell, they only gave her 20 years. You think she's going to do all them 20? Let's see. So R. Kelly was sentenced Wednesday to 30 years in prison for running decades-long scheme in which he used his inner circle of employees and associates to recruit young girls, boys, and women for him to sexually abuse. One of those girls the jury heard was beloved R&B icon A.L.L, who was introduced to the sexual predator by her uncle Barry Hankerson when she was only 12 years old. Hankerson was Kelly's manager at the time. In a memo Tuesday denying Kelly's request for a new trial, Judge Ann Donnelly named Hankerson among the employees that were hired to see to R. Kelly's professional and personal needs. There was no evidence presented in court that Hankerson knew Kelly was abusing his niece, but he was identified in another manager's testimony as the man who introduced Kelly to Aaliyah at her home in Chicago. Insider reached out to Hankerson through his music label Black Ground Records, but didn't get an immediate response. Aaliyah sung for Kelly, and the R&B star took an interest in her. He wrote music for her, including her hit song, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and they performed together. A few years after meeting Aaliyah, Kelly bribed an Illinois official to obtain a fake ID for her so he could marry her in a hotel room when she was 15 years old. Witnesses testified. The point of the marriage, one of Kelly's other victims testified, was so she could get an abortion without her parents' consent. Without naming Hankerson, Donnelly spoke sternly about the role Kelly's employees, played in enabling his abuse of Aaliyah and the other girls and women. His runners, managers, and others in his inner circle, specifically Demetrius Smith, knew what Kelly was doing to Aaliyah and others and didn't do anything to stop it, she said. Smith testified that he once confronted Kelly because he believed he was being too playful with the young girl and that he may have been messing around with her. Mr. Smith knew what you were doing, but when you thought she was pregnant and thought you would be caught for what you had been doing, he and your other handlers helped to bribe somebody to get this child a fake ID so that you could marry her because you wanted to cover up that you have been having sex with a young girl, she said. They wanted to protect you and your career, and they helped you, and the victim didn't matter. Okay, I'm going to read this part here. An enterprise of abuse. Throughout Kelly's 6-week trial, jurors heard from Kelly's victims, employees, and others about how he controlled the young women and girls in his orbit. Evidence presented at trial showed that once Kelly established control, he would sexually and physically abuse his victims, who he may follow a strict set of rules that govern how they dressed, how they spoke, where they met, or where they went, and who they looked at. Some of the employees were made to hand out Kelly's phone number to young people at hangouts like McDonald's or his concerts. Others were in charge of enforcing his strict rules when they were in his homes. Evidence presented at trial showed that once Kelly established control, he would sexually and physically abuse his victims, who he made follow a strict set of rules that govern how they dressed, how they spoke, where they went, and who they looked at. If Kelly deemed they broke one of his rules, the punishments were severe and humiliating, evidence showed. There are countless other examples of employees who stood by or enabled your behavior. They heard you beating these victims. They knew that you were holding them in a room or on a bus, Donnelly told R. Kelly on Wednesday. Donnelly questioned whether the employees turned a blind eye and an exception to every standard of human decency just because you were famous. Did they agree with you, as we heard at trial, that you can do whatever you want because you fancy yourself a genius who should be allowed to do whatever I want because of what I give to this world? She asked. There is much, much more that could be said about people who excused this and tolerated for all these years, but these people are not before me for sentence today. Okay, whatever. I thought that was very important to read that. Simple fact that, like I said, if R. Kelly is a part of a RICO racketeer influence organization deal, it should be other folks standing with him in front of so-called justice, or is this just us? Now that trial is coming up, I believe, in August in Chicago. I believe that's the trial where his co-conspirators, that are, from my understanding, trying to separate their trial from R. Kelly's, which is very understandable because self-preservation is the number one law of nature. But the thing about all this stuff is this is BS because institutions have always protected the guilty and violated the innocent. Think about the Vatican. Think about their involvement in the slave trade. Look at the movie Goodbye, Uncle Tom, that is based on primary sources that deal with the Black Holocaust in America, the slave issue, racism, all the things that Black folks endure. I only saw that movie once. I saw the director's cut, and it was very troubling because it told the truth. And it was too much for a lot of people to bear. So when it was first showed in movie theaters, Black folks had riots, allegedly, and they had to pull out the theaters because Goodbye, Uncle Tom was actually produced by some Italians. It wasn't produced in America. It wasn't no Americans. It was Italians that produced this movie, from my understanding. But they used primary sources like newspapers and diaries to tell about the hell that Black folks caught and been catching in this country and continue to catch in this country. But the Vatican, think about all the hush money the Vatican had to pay out over the years. You still got people giving their kids to the Vatican. Kids becoming choir boys. Think about the Boy Scouts of America, all the abuse that was going on for decades. Think about Larry Nassar, the Olympics doctor, or the gymnast doctor, or whatever, physician, abused all those women or their girls, including Simone Biles, arguably the greatest gymnast of all time, where she couldn't even focus on her last Olympics. She had to take a break because trauma. And people want to dismiss that. He was protected by the University of Michigan. Well, it was at University of Michigan, Michigan State, one of those universities. He had to practice that. They protected him. The Olympics Committee, Olympics Gymnastics Committee knew what he was about. They protected him for years. So the institutions are guilty of protecting the guilty. So R. Kelly had cover as long as he was making money for his masters. As long as he didn't try to get his masters, he was okay. They covered for him. Yeah, the music industry covered for R. Kelly. But not like he's this monster that come out of nowhere. See, Frankenstein was not the real monster. Dr. Frankenstein, the one who helped create Frankenstein, that's the monster. You see, the system created the R. Kellys, the abuse he had to endure. Think about, we talking about Monique, right? Monique was on Oprah, and she talking about how her brother sexually molested her, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Monique is from Baltimore. Think about, when you look at Goodbye Uncle Tom, think about a lot of the sex farms where you had Black boys sleeping with their mama and sister. The MF term, the term MF? You had, boys sleeping with their mama, their sister, their aunts, whatever, at these sex farms in Maryland, Virginia. This is generational trauma. This is trauma passed from generation to generation. So you got a lot of sexual confusion and molestation going on in our families. Is a taboo subject, but we've been programmed and been programmed to accept this as a part of our reality. You had the institutions that allowed and encouraged these type of abuses. Think about, Joe Paterno, the great football coach, but his assistant football coach, Jerry Sandusky, was a sexual predator, or is a sexual predator. But who was he abusing? Why was he able to get away with it? Because we don't really value boys' lives, especially Black boys' lives. If R. Kelly was abusing a whole bunch of Black boys, he probably never faced any jail time or prison time. You had some Black male victims, alleged victims, I guess they victims, whatever, because he's guilty of R. Kelly come forward, but he didn't have a lot of them. If you look at the movie Goodbye Uncle Tom, they showed the slave market down south, the open air slave market where you had nuns buying up young Black boys, putting them in dresses and stuff to take to the church. This stuff is not make-believe. This is reality. The emasculation of the black male been going on for a long, long time in this country before it was a Hollywood. You know, like you hear about stories where they'll take the strongest, most masculine black slave, excuse me, and they actually will rape him in front of his family. They'll take him and rape him. They'll buck break him. That's Tariq Nasheed's documentary, Buck Breaking. They'll buck break him in front of his family. This is the strongest one. We're going to buck break him. You know, you think about the time where, you know, we talking about protect black women, but we don't even protect black boys or protect black children. We always been, our bodies never been ours. We have never been allowed to have full sovereignty over our bodies in this system. Even you talk about y'all like sports, right? How is it that LeBron James and them got to have a salary cap? You know, I ain't gonna never forget it. I saw how much money Steve Ballmer, who used to work at Microsoft with Bill Gates, he made billions of dollars during the pandemic. That year when the NBA season was shortened and they had a playoff bubble, the Clippers didn't win no championship that year, but Steve Ballmer made billions of dollars. But LeBron and them only make so much. LeBron is the first active player billionaire, I believe, in sports history. Even, I mean, American sports, North American sports, I guess, maybe just basketball. But think about how much money he should be worth. Look how much money he made his owners. He's still a slave. Because when you got to work for your money, then you're not free. When you are a master, your money works for you. Queen Elizabeth never probably, Queen Elizabeth don't know how to clean no toilet. She never had a job, but yet she's worth all this money. Never had to work for her money. Her money works for her. See, wealthy people, money works for them. They don't work for their money. You got a lot of hardworking poor people. You got folks with 5 or 6 jobs, still can't pay everything off on time. Got to choose between eating and keeping the lights on or putting gas in your car. Got a lot of hardworking poor people. A lot of wealthy people don't work like that. They enjoy the fruits of your labor. So that's how that works, okay? But with R. Kelly thing, it's ridiculous because people actually thought that was fair that he get that. People want to project what their uncle or aunt did to them or their school teacher did to them and try to blame that on R. Kelly. R. Kelly ain't your problem. R. Kelly got his own set of problems. Even with the Aaliyah thing, you know, Barry Hankerson, her uncle, her blood uncle, right? He was married to Gladys Knight. They didn't mention that in the article. Gladys Knight was a child star. She came up, you know, she know about the life of an entertainer. Aaliyah never had a chance. She was sacrificed. R. Kelly told you who he was. He said, I'm a Pied Piper. R. Kelly never lied about who he was. He knew the power of his music to charm the panties out these girls, out these grown women. You know, you got, you know, you saw that them documentaries or mockumentaries about R. Kelly. He had grown women in their 30s running to his mansion down in Atlanta. He didn't hold them. They wanted a lifestyle. When them checks stopped coming, they couldn't get everything they want. That's when they got mad. Like anybody. It's like you could help a person so much, like a family member. You give them all the money. Then one day you say no, they hate you for it. They don't think about all the times you gave it to them while no problem. But that one time you say no, oh man, you ain't nothing. You know, but you remember the time I came through for you though. Forget all that, nigga. What have you done for me lately? That's the mind state. For R. Kelly, I mean, the government, they don't play fair. The feds don't play fair. Look at the FBI. The gun that killed Dr. King came from the FBI. That's what's been proven by, you look at possession. Ambassador Andrew Young and Congressman Walter Fauntroy, Dr. King's lieutenants, when they did the JFK MLK assassination thing back in 78, they knew then, according to source, they already knew that the FBI was involved in killing Dr. King. They knew it wasn't James Earl Ray. He was a patsy. It's like people still keep on saying, Lee Harvey Oswald did that. There's no proof that Lee Harvey Oswald even fired a gun that day when Kennedy was killed. I ain't gonna get into all that, but you just gotta do research and start thinking for yourself. Don't let these folks keep on saying lone gunmen. There are no lone gunmen. They all have a network. Just like the dude in Highland Park. He ain't no lone gunman. He came from a network. See, we all are potential Manchurian candidates because of the way they programming us with this media, man. This media is a beast. Malcolm warned us about how media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. This media has made us all potential Manchurian candidates. Anything could trigger out anybody because look how emotional y'all get about the so-called Karens, about the Black Lives Matter snuff porn, these police killings. Think about, I don't know nothing about no Jayland Walker. That's his name, brother named Jayland Walker in Akron. But I do know that he got hit at least 60 times with policemen bullets. And I do know this guy in Highland Park, this is what, Bob Grimo, what's his name? Bob Cremo, looking like a reject from Scooby-Doo, like a reject Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Let me see. What's the dude's name that did all that shooting on the 4th of July? It's Bob Cremo, that's his name. I call him Primo. Robert Cremo. They said, I read one source, it said he went by the rap name Awake the Rapper. Awake the Rapper. And like, you know, they scrubbed his social media so fast. They scrubbed his YouTube, his Facebook, whatever. But this stuff been up all this time. And then when they get some scrutiny, they want to scrub. I mean, I remember sometimes I post stuff on these social media accounts. I know my friends, they get put in Facebook jail. They don't post no porn or nothing like that. They're in the same spaces like Twitter that will put people in Twitter jail or take their stuff down or cancel their accounts. I have actually saw like porn from 12 years ago still on Twitter. Porn. I mean, this things all out. Still on Twitter. But yeah, if a person make a very unpopular statement or so-called politically incorrect statement, they cancel. But you got porn on Twitter. The same Twitter that canceled President Trump's Twitter account. This guy was the president of the United States. They did that. So if they could do that to a president, who are you? But yet we get so emotionally triggered by things instead of being more, you got to put your emotions. See, my thing is there's a difference between being passionate and being emotional. A lot of us are just emotional. We always responding. We always reacting. To be passionate is to have some type of purpose and focus. Just like y'all think being angry is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be angry. It means that you are still in touch with your feelings. Anger is a very powerful motivational tool if you know how to leverage it. But a lot of us have not been trained, and therein lies the problem. Because we keep on making the same mistake. Well, Jayland Walker, you know, it's sad what happened to their brother in Akron. I know y'all want to look at LeBron James, King James, but LeBron James trying to keep that hairline alive. He can't worry about trying to keep Black lives alive. Even in his hometown, he made it out, right? He's a billionaire. But still, they ain't going to bring no Jayland Walker back. But y'all can't look at LeBron. LeBron ain't Malcolm. He ain't King. He ain't supposed to be. He's supposed to be who he is. He's an entertainer. Y'all want to look at some entertainers to bail y'all out. He already provide y'all an alternate reality with sports. Y'all already in Arrested Development and sports guy. You know, it's funny. I used to love looking at those sports shows growing up, like ESPN. I don't look at that crap no more. Not that it's crap, but I look at a little highlight. But you got I wish black men were passionate about raising families and being men and standing up for stuff outside of sports. Is there any way to transfer that passion you have for kiddie games into like winning at the game of life, creating a real dynasty that goes beyond the Golden State Warriors or the LA Lakers or the Cowboys? Create a real dynasty. Instead of living in a fantasy, create a dynasty. Do we got that anymore? Because there are no real black masculine figures in mainstream media. There's none. Don't tell me about so-and-so. People say, well, you know, well, Sam Jackson and Denzel, they actors. I'm talking about men who are in position to affect policy, to affect real change, not to play make-believe, but to actually affect change. We don't have that. Dr. King was getting there and they killed him. Malcolm had some influence with some world. They got rid of Malcolm. We don't have no real players in the game. Now we have some ambulance chasers. We have some pulpit pimps. We don't have no real soldiers. See, the problem is a lot of you folks are cowards. You know, the ones y'all think are elders, they cowards. They scared to die. The people that we need right now are the ones who was willing to die. The Fred Hampton Seniors, Bunchy Carters, the Malcolms, the Megas, the Kings. We needed those type of people. They were not even allowed to reach their prime. These black men were killed before they reached their prime, and a lot of them had families or were starting young families. But we don't have any real black men with backbone in mainstream life. The only time they have some backbone when they trying to defend LeBron James or KD and Golden State. I mean, black dudes tripping out, man. It's sad. A lot of these Negroes tired, man. We tired. But y'all can't stand Brother Run, though. I knows that. You know, that's okay. Because I signed up for this. Dick Gregory said, if you don't like the assignment, get the hell out the Army. That's what he told me. You get the hell out the Army. You don't like the assignment? You can't deal with the assignment? We are soldiers. Soldiers. And you can't deal with that assignment, get the hell out the Army. See, like I said, I go to family reunions, people tell me I'm bad news. And folks will actually say, so when did you get out? When you mean when I got the penitentiary? Or when did I get out of college? I got advanced degrees and everything, but people call me bad news in my own family reunions because all I do is try to share the information. I guess misery does love company, right? I ain't trying to make y'all miserable. I ain't trying to remember every race massacre there was, but it is in my mind. It stays with me. You know what I'm saying? I want to share this. It's like even with the Emmett Till thing. I ain't gonna get set up about you fools out here posting everything. You like, folks, we're gonna pull up on Carolyn Bryant in North Carolina. You got people out here, I don't know, they agent provocateurs, but they still haven't told us what happened to Khalid Muhammad. These folks that supposed to be in his, I'm just saying, we still don't know what happened to Khalid Muhammad. Folks getting taken out here every day. Nobody ain't asking the right questions. I ain't gonna pull out nowhere. I ain't pulling up on no Carolyn Bryant. It's like what Biggie said. Don't you know that bad boys move in silence and violence? Y'all broadcast every damn thing. Yeah, police waiting for you when you get up there. Then somebody said they already did it. I already put be done on July the 6th. Why you telling everybody your moves? Why you broadcasting? Why you telling everybody your location? That's stupid. Y'all don't really want to kill no Carolyn Bryant. Y'all don't want to take it out. It's okay. Because that's why she's still alive. Because we don't got that in us. We only got that type of venom for us. We don't do it to them. We do it to us. I ain't gonna forget, as I speak on that, John Grisham novel that got turned into a movie, Samuel Jackson, A Time to Kill. Matthew McConaughey played a lawyer, Sam Jackson, black man whose daughter was raped by some white supremacist rednecks. He killed the white man at the courthouse. But in the process, he hurt one of his best friends. Like a white man who was a bailiff or whatever, officer, lost his leg, I believe. And y'all, oh man, Sam Jackson shouldn't have did that. This man raped his daughter. He's a father. Fathers are supposed to protect the family. They're supposed to protect their daughters. He failed. He knew he failed. So he had to avenge that. His daughter lost her innocence. And even we shot that guy's leg off. We had to get his leg amputated, excuse me. Even he could empathize with Sam Jackson. He said he did the right thing. Because I would do that too. If I can remember the movie correctly. He said he did what he had to do. See, that's respect. It's not respect when you allow people to violate you and your family. That's not no respect in that. That's not. That's why white folks keep on waiting. When are they going to snap? That's why they don't want you to know about your history. If you knew all the stuff that I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to tell y'all a little bit of stuff that they did to us, that we allow them to do to us, right? I remember reading something. I think this happened in Florida back in the day. It's back in the 20th century, mid 20th century. It's y'all homework assignment. I can't give y'all everything. I'm gonna give y'all little snacks and stuff. I remember I read something where a black boy gave a white girl a Valentine's Day card, and her daddy and his friends drowned him. I think they made his father watch him be drowned. I think this happened in Florida. It's so much of that. It's so much of that. We are concerned about the wrong things. Like when you talk about you want to get free. If you really want to get free, you're not worried about what other people think about how you get free. You're not concerned with other people's opinions about you. You're not really concerned, but I know that we're more concerned about what others think about us than we think about ourselves. It shows every day. When you look into social media, it's a social sickness that we have. The fact that Jayland Walker, yeah, he wore a ski mask. He may have shot at the police one time. But for him to get shot 60 times. Then a white boy, that Bob Crimo, whatever his name, Awake the Rapper, he killed about, I think, 7 people and counting, and wounded about 30 people at a July 4th parade in an upper scale community. And they catch him with no incident. They took Dylan Roof to Burger King for a Whopper. The guy who shot up that store in Buffalo, caught without any problem. He was talked him out of committing suicide. But yet Michael Johnson, they blew him up with a robot in Dallas. That's the cat who shot it and killed them cops at the Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas. This happened right after the Alton Sterling thing in Baton Rouge, where their brother got killed over CDs, selling CDs in the parking lot. And also you had Philando Castile, who had a carry permit. He told the cop, I have a gun, I have a license, and the cop still killed him. And his girlfriend Facebook Live it or whatever she did. This is crazy. Or you think about Eric Gardner, who got snuffed out by the police for selling loose cigarettes. He was not the biggest violator in Staten Island. Don't you know that some of the biggest mafia people live in Staten Island? He's not the biggest criminal. He was not the biggest criminal threat to society. You got the mob bosses that make their home in Staten Island. Yeah, they're going to kill this black dude hustling with some cigarettes, this gentle giant. See, y'all into that Michael Clark Duncan, may he rest in peace, Green Mile stuff. Man, he's a gentle giant. You know how crazy that movie was? It was a good movie for what it was, but here's the problem. If I had the powers that Michael Clark Duncan had, why would I be sitting on death row waiting for them to kill me? That's insane. But yeah, y'all always want to give y'all best to a society that don't love you. You rather fight your enemy's battles than to fight your own battles. We make the best soldiers, but we are terrible when it comes to liberating ourselves. We are horrible at that. I keep on thinking about stuff. Like, look up Oliver Law. I did a segment on Oliver Law. I always want to do a more in-depth segment, but Oliver Law was the leader of the Lincoln Brigade during the Spanish Civil War of the 30s, right? He was a black guy from Texas by way of Chicago, I think. But he was over the Lincoln Brigade. It was an integrated international fighting brigade. So you had this black man from America, from Jim Crow America, leading white folks. Some of the white folks from America, they didn't care to be led by no black man. And Oliver Law was a very imposing brother, tall, dark, and handsome cat. But he was killed in the line of duty. Now, there's a lot of controversy. Look up Oliver Law and the Lincoln Brigade. There's a lot of controversy about what actually happened to him. Because some people believe that he was killed by his own men. The white soldiers resented being told what to do by a black man. And so they killed him. And it's a phenomenon. In Vietnam War, they call it fragging. Look up fragging, where you kill your commanding officer. A lot of times on purpose. You had like black soldiers in Vietnam were killing their commanding white officers as payback. So maybe these white dudes, they're from America, you know, north, south, east, and west. Like Malcolm said, anything south of Canada is Mississippi. So they ain't take count to the brother tell him what to do. He got killed. Now there's conflicting things. Just look it up and read. It's like, well, yeah, they killed him. Then they said, no, he died in the line of duty. It was a clean, and nobody killed him on his side. But I'm starting to believe maybe they did kill him. But anyway, I'm getting all out, but like the R. Kelly thing, right? So we're talking about R. Kelly. But you look at Aaliyah's uncle, Barry Hankerson. Is he just as guilty? If he's an enabler, he gave Aaliyah to R. Kelly on the platter, it sounds like. You got to remember, R. Kelly produced Aaliyah's first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, hint, hint, hint. He knew Aaliyah since she was 12, hint, hint, hint. Then that surviving R. Kelly thing, I think they said they implied that Aaliyah's mom had a thing with R. Kelly. I don't know. But it's like a lot more people should be held accountable besides R. Kelly. If there's a network, but here's the thing, getting back to art, because Aaliyah was a sacrifice. Aaliyah, from my understanding, had relationships with R. Kelly, Jay-Z, and Dame Dash, who said they was supposed to be his fiance. I don't know. I'm not there, but Hollywood, nobody dies a natural death in show business. You understand? And I'll take it back to Elvis. You know, Elvis died under questionable circumstances August the 16th, 1977. Now, he was known for messing with underage girls. He was messing with Priscilla when she was about 14 or 13, allegedly. That was like his teen bride. You know, Elvis was known for having an appetite. Like Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin, you know, when he was like great balls of fire, indeed. Great balls on fire. Great balls of fire, indeed. But I want to bring it back to Elvis, who shares the same birthday as R. Kelly, January the 8th. I know y'all talk about normal Drew Ali. Okay, that's cool. Capricorns are interest. Dr. King was a Capricorn. Muhammad Ali was a Capricorn. Very dynamic personalities, charisma, great way to communicate, and great at communicating. But Elvis allegedly, I can look this up, because a lot of people believe Elvis was murdered because he was about to become a witness for the government against the mob. He had evidence on some high-profile organized crime figures as it relates to the drug trafficking, I believe, and they killed him. Because like Elvis spent most of his time at the end in Las Vegas more than he did in Memphis. He just happened to die in Memphis, but he was more beloved in Vegas than he was in Memphis. A lot of people don't know that he spent more time in Las Vegas than he did in Memphis. And Las Vegas was ran by the mob during that time period. So Elvis actually, you know, I guess he had his issues with the drugs, but he didn't care for illegal drugs. It's weird with Elvis, because Elvis had a meeting with Richard Nixon. I think he wanted to become some type of DEA agent. They did a movie or two about Elvis meeting with Richard Nixon. And I think his thing was he wanted to work for the government because he saw himself as he wanted to be in law enforcement to get rid of the bad drugs. To get rid of the bad drugs. The bad guys. You know what I'm saying? But people believe that he might have been killed because he knew too much, and that he was about to become a witness for the government in some high-profile organized crime trial. So, and R. Kelly, you know, his co-conspirators they're going to have his co-conspirators on trial with him in August. R. Kelly is the man who knows too much. Like Epstein. They suicided Epstein. Wasn't he supposed to be on suicide watch or wasn't on suicide watch? Wasn't the camera supposed to be working or not working? Who knows? Here's the thing, though. What's funny about the January 6th thing, you know, people like Bill Barr, who was Donald Trump's attorney general, could be trusted. Now he's so trusted, right? Bill Barr's dad used to be the headmaster at the Dalton School. This is a very well-known, famous, legendary school up in New York City. His dad was CIA, as well as he was part of the forerunner to the CIA, the Office for Strategic Services, which led to the formation of the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. William Barr, Bill Barr, what we call him, his dad hired Jeffrey Epstein to work at the Dalton School. His dad hired him to work at the Dalton School. So Bill Barr, as far as I'm concerned, is he trustworthy? He's part of the establishment. Yeah, y'all believe everything. I be having an old black man, you look at the January. I ain't looking at that crap. Y'all just hate people. I said, why y'all hate Trump? They can't tell me, man. I said, I could tell you everything why y'all shouldn't be supporting Joe Biden. That basketball player will be home right now. Trump got LeVar Ball's son out of China. He got A$AP Rocky out of his situation. Trump did things. See, Trump thing is that he's a celebrity. He's fascinated with other celebrities. Trump likes to be around celebrities. It's like celebrities. I mean, like, you know, people forget rappers used to love rapping about Trump. Like, I want to be Trump. Now these same rappers telling you Trump ain't nothing. I'm going to tell you something. Trump has done more for a lot of you than a lot of these so-called rappers have ever done. Some of these rappers have helped commit crimes against humanity in terms of the type of music they will use to create, to control our behaviors, to modify our behavior. Trump got Kodak Black and Lil Wayne out of prison. You know, Trump pardoned Jack Johnson, who didn't really need pardon, but R. Kelly, I still listen to R. Kelly music. I have no problem with it. I would listen to all this past 4th of July weekend, R. Kelly. Have no one problem. Why should I? Folks don't have a problem listening to Elvis Presley. Folks have no problem watching the Earl Flynn movie. Earl Flynn did things allegedly in his private life that would make R. Kelly and Hugh Hefner blush. That's the guy who played Robin Hood back in the day, Earl Flynn. I mean, you look at all our musicians. Like, look at Marvin Gaye. They trying to say Marvin Gaye was supposed to be my cousin. But you got people with this same crap like Marvin Gaye. You know, he helped some prostitutes disappear. Like, he probably is like some Jack the Ripper serial killer, according to Lipstick Alley and these other places. I can't believe, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? And Marvin, you know, he was out there, but they would make the music great. You know, geniuses are supposed to be eccentric because when you are really who you are, you're weird to other people. Because a lot of folks ain't really who they are. They're sitting there representatives. But when you actually dare to be who you are, when you dare to say what's on your mind and do the things you want to do, you become weird to people. You become eccentric. Something's wrong with you because you living out loud. It's like when people tell me, man, your trumpet playing. I don't care. I play for me. You can find somebody else, because like my thing is, I look at y'all weird because I know of some phenomenal trumpet players that y'all don't give a damn about. Y'all never heard of them. They don't get no respect. I mean, he's living and dead. They are amazing, but I notice when people love car wrecks. So it is what it is. But my thing is, I do things to be uncomfortable, so I gotta be comfortable being me. I do things to challenge the status quo. A lot of times I don't want to do it, but it is who I am. I'm gonna do the things it takes for me to live my life out of tune, so I can be in tune with who I am. That's what I do. I don't mind being alone because I'm not lonely. It's like, it's funny to me. I'd be meditating, I'd be by myself. I could drive long hours on the road. I could just study, meditate, draw, paint, all that stuff. Folks want to call me and bother my peace. Then I say my piece and something wrong with me. What I'm saying is, I do things not because I'm asking for y'all permission to do it. I do it because I exist. Therefore, I am. I'm gonna do what I want to do if I'm willing to pay the cost to be the boss. That's how I look at it. It's like how I'm talking. You may think I'm all over the place. I'm dropping gems everywhere. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm just dropping stuff. So what? It's my platform. There ain't no rules. It's like, y'all think I'm supposed to be quiet and supposed to be complacent and be compliant. Nah, that ain't how this goes. I'm 42 years old. I don't have a lot invested in this so-called reality that y'all do. Y'all think y'all do. Because I don't know how I'm surviving. I'm just out here, man. But think about what I'm saying. Don't be surprised they take R. Kelly out, because it's not about the women or the girls. It's about the catalog. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Remember what Dr. Francis Cress Wilson said, everything with them is warfare. Every area of human activity is warfare. So think about that. R. Kelly, just think about how much money you think I Believe I Can Fly is worth. R. Kelly's catalog is amazing. R. Kelly, man, I can listen. I have actually took road trips where I listen to nothing but R. Kelly. And it's not just the sex music. It's like the inspirational songs, the gospel music. You got his hip hop. R. Kelly was so diverse. It's so diverse. He's up there with the Marvins and the Curtis Mayfields and the Sam Cookes. He has a generational voice. And that's the tragedy of it all. This man still got a lot to give the world, and yet they want to silence his voice because they want to control his narrative. They want to control his intellectual property. They want to control the man's soul. This was about, it's not about Aaliyah. Aaliyah was a blood sacrifice. They want to use Aaliyah now, and she's been dead for 20 years. She can't speak for herself. They invented some new narrative. Because R. Kelly, if he's a monster, how come Dame Dash and Jay-Z still had business with R. Kelly? You know, then Jay-Z did Best of Both Worlds with R. Kelly. I heard some things about Jay. It ain't my place to say, but, you know, Jay made sure that they couldn't use his lyrics against him in the court of law, didn't he? Because all these folks snitching on themselves. It is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know if I talked about everything. I'll do another show. I'm sorry if you was looking for certain information. Like I said, I don't have a lot of things planned out. Even when I interview people, I don't have no list of questions. I just go on intuition. A lot of times, especially certain people that love to talk, you won't get to answer all your questions anyway. You gotta have them on again. You ask one question, they go on for an hour on one question. But I have not looked at the chat room, so thanks to everybody who gave donations, who's going to give donations in the future, who support this work, been supporting this work. We love you madly. But let me talk about something. Like I said, I can always do more videos. Y'all want me to do more videos, right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it to you. Dun, dun, dun. I got to talk about this. It's going to be an interesting 25th reunion next year, but I got to talk about it. Y'all know right there, that's Brandy Evans. That's my classmate. She's one of the stars on the hit Stars television program, P Valley, right? P Poppin', P Valley. Trying to see if I can make this image larger. I want to give it to you, baby. I think that's good enough. Trying to keep this on 2 hours. Anyway, that's Brandy, right? And she's the lead Mercedes on the hit show P Valley. Like I said, I'm a fan of Brandy. I've been knowing Brandy. We've been going to school since junior high. Went to junior high together, went to high school together, went to Colonial Junior High, right down the street from Overton High School. Brandy, I used to have a crush on Brandy in school. I remember I approached her at TJ Maxx, all shy and weirded, you know, this puberty thing was a weird thing for everybody, I guess, in their own way. And I caught myself trying to hit on Brandy, try to get her phone number. I think she left in my face or something because she was with her mom. She left in my face, but I didn't take it. I mean, whatever. But but Brandy always been an interesting person, always been a social butterfly, a darling cheerleader. She did creative writing. I think she's a gifted writer as well. Look forward to seeing if she ever do any projects using her writing skills. I heard she could write. Also dancer, but she was a teacher at one point, and she left the teaching profession to pursue her dream of dancing. And I think she danced for the Grizzlies at one point. Then she started, she went out to Hollywood and whatever, got with Katy Perry, some other people, danced on award shows, danced on world tours and stuff like that, from my understanding. Really made a life of herself for herself. And also, I commend her for taking care of her mom. She's a primary care provider or caregiver for her mom, who's dealing with several different ailments. I think one of them being MS, I'm not mistaken, multiple sclerosis. I think Alzheimer's or something like that. But she's a good person, hardworking sister, thoughtful woman, love for family. And so I was proud. This is from our 20-year reunion in 2018. Brandy don't look her age, right? She's fine as wine. You know what I'm saying? Brandy aged well. She take good care. Matter of fact, she does all her stunts on P-Valley. That's not a double doing her stunts. That's her climbing that pole and doing her thing. I mean, Brandy has always been athletic, and I commend her on that. She took care of Temple, and Temple taking care of her. And so, I mean, like, you know, P-Valley was even out when I took this picture with Brandy. This is back in 2018, but I just had to take a picture with Brandy. I said I had a crush on Brandy back in the day. But I actually have enjoyed P-Valley. You know, Katori Hall is the showrunner and the producer. She, you know, P-Valley is based on her play of the same name, I believe. There's a New York Times article out recently, and it's worth a read. It's not a long article, but she talked about growing up in Memphis, how a lot of her life moments, her significant life moments came at strip clubs. Like she was a fan of strip clubs growing up. Like she go to people's birthday parties at strip clubs and other things like that. So her thing was she wanted to tell these women's stories, not just use them as set decorations. Because a lot of times you look at these movies, you don't really look at the women as having stories or being people. They're more to dress up the scenery and all that stuff. I mean, like, you know, with the exception of Players Club, I like the Players Club. Lisa Ray, Ice Cube, Bernie Mac, Dollar Bill, whatever his name was, Dollar Bill. It was an interesting cast of people. I just got the Players Club soundtrack. That thing is hard to find, but I got the CD off of Amazon. And Ice Cube, you say what you want. Ice Cube know how to make some soundtracks for some movies, man. That Players Club soundtrack still hold up. And I ain't heard Splackavelli in a long time, but that's another story. But P-Valley, cultural phenomenon. A legit cultural phenomenon. And Brandy is a star. She was made for it. You know what I'm saying? She was made, like I said, she athletic, beautiful, just defied time. You know, she's a beautiful woman. But my thing is this. This second season is like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for the second season of P-Valley. The last episode, especially 4 and 5, wow. I'm like, whoa, man. That's a lot, man. Like, it started hitting me. I enjoyed this show, but you can't watch this with your family. You can't watch this with no kids. And this is like prime time television. It's not just P-Valley, but what's going on in the industry altogether. It's like, you know, like I said, Judge Joe Brown birthday's today. I've been interviewing Judge Joe Brown since 2014. That's the same year that his show was canceled for whatever reason. And Judge told you what was going on. But now, from talking with Judge Joe Brown and also seeing what Dr. Bill Cosby went through these last several years, and even speaking with Dr. Bill Cosby on the phone for 30 minutes last summer, I get it now. We have a problem as a community. What Malcolm says is more urgent now than it has ever been, that the media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. We have a problem where they put in all society dysfunction in blackface. Now, I'm not going to stop watching P-Valley. I'm going to be honest with you, because I know a couple people connected to P-Valley, and I'm, you know, one of the writers. I saw her name in the credits. It was cool. But my thing is this: we need more diverse programming as it relates to Black people. Now, I'm not saying we should stop looking at P-Valley, but we need balance. It's like when I saw a documentary on Amos and Andy. And it's like what Reverend Jesse Jackson said. He said, it's not that we had a problem with Amos and Andy. It was just the only TV show that supposed to be representing Black life. We needed more diversity, show different perspectives on the Black experience. It wasn't that Amos and Andy was bad. Because if you actually watch the show, Amos and Andy, it's not bad to me. It's actually funny. But you think about, you know, a lot of y'all don't like Amos and Andy, but y'all love the Martin Show. Y'all love In Living Color. Y'all love all these shows from the 90s and stuff like that. But if it were for Amos and Andy, there'll be no Martin Lawrence show. No Martin, all this stuff. It ain't no different. But it was the problem with Amos and Andy wasn't Amos and Andy in and of itself. It was just like it was the only black TV show. That's the problem. And with P Valley or even The Chi, you look at The Chi, look at all these shows. I'm not okay. The Chi, P Valley, The Boys. These are shows I have watched. Black masculinity has become emasculated. We are looking at the emasculation of black masculinity play out in so-called popular media. This is a problem. This is a problem. Like I said, you can't name me one strong black masculine figure in mainstream. Don't tell me about no retired athletes or no actors and stuff being, they probably be the best. Where are our policy makers? You know, we had Adam Clayton Powell Jr. in Congress 60 years ago. We don't even talk about him. He was too much of a man. They had to get rid of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. because he was too much of a man. He said, the white boys do this. I'm honest about the women I bed. I'm honest about the trips I take, and I still do the work for the people. We don't have men like that walking around. We don't. Jim Brown, you know, Twilight years, Sunlight years, Jim did what he had to do back in the day. You understand? I'm talking about men in policy positions. We don't have that. We have entertainers. Y'all think these guys like Nick Cannon should have told y'all it's not Nick Cannon's fault. He wasn't made for it. Dick even said, you sure what you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing, Nick? Because like Dick said, Nick doing what I did 50-something years ago. And he was telling him, but Nick thought he was a buck. See, Nick thought he was a special Negro. Kind of like Kissy from Roots. Oh, you speak well, you play piano. Okay. Then he had Professor Griff on his show, and then everything got blew up. Think about when Ice Cube tried to do the contract with Black America. Y'all love Ice Cube when he playing these movies, these family-friendly movies, or even Friday or some other stuff. You love him when he rapping his songs. But when he was trying to get in a position to affect policy for the betterment of black people, y'all had him have it. Y'all let him have it. Y'all ain't want Doughboy to be a real man. You can't play with my yo-yo. No, you can't play with my policy, Negro. Because Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Neo Dixie Crack, Jim Crow, Joe Biden. When Ice Cube wanted to be taken seriously, when O'Shea Jackson said, I want a contract for Black America because I know I took care of my family, but we in this together. Because like what Dr. King said, we as a people will get to the mountaintop. You can't really leave so many of us behind, can you? So, but yet, airlines, you just look at even the movie The Boys, the show on Prime, The Boys, right? I like looking at it, but my problem is this. Los Alonso is a talented actor. He's very talented. But they are misusing his character, Mother's Milk. First of all, you call a masculine black man Mother's Milk? That's his name, Mother's Milk on the show, his code name, whatever. Then you have the man get choked out by a huge penis. A white dude wraps his penis around his throat like a hangman noose. Then on this season, you have somebody ejaculate on him, full throttle, like some huge ejaculate. I mean, they just doing everything to emasculate the brother. Brother, overall, he's a strong character. He's a Marine, all that stuff. He loves his black daughter, but even his ex emasculates him with a soft, doughy white husband. This is a soft, doughy white dude. This dude all jacked up and stuff. He fighting. This daughter respects the white man more. She respects him, and he's trying to protect his daughter from the real villains, the so-called superheroes. But I mean, and then they made a Cosby joke in The Boys, right? Because they had a character called Soldier Boy, He was the predecessor to Homelander. And I'm getting out to, but he was over in Russia. They held him captive. They had him under mind control, whatever they did. They held him captive, putting experiments on him. So he was kind of like in a time capsule, because he was saying that, he made a reference about Bill Cosby being America's dad. And then, like, one of the other characters said something, well, you've been away for so long. Like, Bill Cosby is not who you think he is anymore. But the thing about it, people don't understand that The Boys was produced by Seth Rogen. He was in the scene jacking off on camera to a lady performing some sex cam acts. But Seth Rogen, he's in the same gang with Judd Apatow and Jonah Hill. They all run together. Paul Rudd. Judd Apatow is not a fan of Bill Cosby. That was the cast they used to Hannibal Buress allegedly to set him up. That's the black comedian nobody talks about, let alone laugh at his jokes. But they made a Cosby reference. But here's why Bill Cosby is necessary. Bill Cosby was trying to save the black image. He was trying to save the black male image, the black family image. He was. Whatever you think about him personally, because a lot of, especially other black male comedians, are disappointed because how they treated Bill Cosby, because they said, well, he didn't like my routine, told me to change my routine. He made some suggestions. He was critical, but he was like, even Eddie Murphy, I think Eddie realized what Cosby was trying to do years later. So you got to watch your language. You're not telling that you can't be who you want to be, but be mindful, man. You in a position of influence and power. And these folks could use certain things against you. And maybe, it's a generational thing. But my thing is, even if Bill Cosby didn't like your act, how can you justify him being railroaded or kangaroo courted the way he has been over the last several years? That's an insult. Cosby was an imperfect man, but he had a perfect vision on how black people should be portrayed and projected throughout the world. According to his publicist, Andrew White, Cosby was offered like $400 million by Netflix for a reboot of A Different World. He refused it because once he take that money, he loses control of the narrative, of the images. It's like he told us on the phone, me and Sister Kara Dangerous, that, once your story get to the Hollywood level, you don't have a say a lot of times. You become marginalized and invisible. But like he said, when he got on the phone with us, revolution starts in the home. So to me, he was still on message. After all the stuff he'd been through, Cosby still was on message. That let me know that he was a soldier in spite of all his flaws, whatever. That's not my concern. That's for him and his maker to work out. That's on him. But I get what he's saying now. It's clear, especially with Judge Joe Brown. He's not on air no more. Like, I asked him about Judge Mathis. I got no problem with Judge Mathis. I saw one episode, of the Memphis Family Matters. I did notice, it was like, I thought it was entertaining to watch, but I did notice that he had an openly gay son that was named after him. And what popped up in my mind was Judge Joe talking about the agenda. He talked about that for years. He's been consistent about that. Because they wanted Judge Joe Brown to be in the dress. Now, he wore a robe, a judge's robe, but they wanted Judge to go the way of the rainbow. They're trying to slip him some rainbow cookies and stuff. And Judge wasn't going. I'm not having that. I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm a man. And Judge didn't want to play ball. But Judge Mathis played ball. He played ball. And that's why he's still on the air. Judge Mathis recently got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Judge should have been here, but a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Because he, like he said, he had the highest rated TV show in his slot. He was bigger than Judge Judy and Oprah, but because he didn't want to play that ball, they put him on the sideline. And now he's not in Hollywood, but he is accessible. Thank God that he's still around, imparting some type of wisdom and insight to how this game works and how it can be played, how it's being played, and how we being played in the process. So they don't want black masculine figures involved in controlling our images and telling our stories. That's why Cosby's out. If Cosby was messing with young boys, young black boys, he'll still be in their good graces. Think about the Bryan Singer guy who directed X-Men. All these rumors about him messing with little boys, even they allegedly Charlie Sheen, all this stuff come out about Charlie Sheen, allegedly, messing around. But I'm saying, but Bill Cosby, you gonna banish him? Roman Polanski, they can do what they want to do. Woody Allen, nobody's punishing them. And Woody Allen let you know he married his adopted daughter. And y'all still, but actors and actresses still break their necks trying to be in a Woody Allen movie. Because a lot of them win Oscars by being in his movies. Woody Allen, and I'll be honest with you, I like some of Woody Allen's movies. I like watching some of Woody Allen's movies. Like I like listening to R. Kelly. But my thing is, I can separate the artist from the art. Because if we can't, then you ain't gonna be able to watch or listen to anything because everybody's kind of weird. Like weirdness to me is like on the spectrum, like autism, right? So everybody's out there. But with the P-Valley thing, I have no problem with these stories being told. I just want more balance. I want more other programming. Like the Shy. The problem with the boy that's the lead in the Shy is that he got too much feminine energy around him. He's being emasculated. He's suffering. He's crying out for help. I don't even realize Lena Waithe is actually knowing what she's doing. She's showing how having too much of an imbalance, like too much feminine energy, is bad for young Black children, in particular boys. Because even the men are not really men. They're in a state of arrested development. They're man-child. Like the dude he's supposed to emulate is Emmett. Emmett's a man-child. Then he's named after Emmett Till. Emmett Till was from Chicago, right? He never got a chance to be a grown man. He got killed at 14. So I mean, even Emmett's father is not a man, he's a male. He's a Peter Pan. So one guy they did have on the show that could have been that male Jegna for him, they took out because allegedly he made women on the set uncomfortable. Very talented actor who played Eazy-E and Straight Outta Compton. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But you haven't seen them in anything since. It's something about they don't want Black men around, masculine Black men. It's like Brother Polite. Y'all don't talk about him no more, but Brother Polite, when he first went out to LA, I ain't gonna figure I saw this video he did online. He'll tell me how in Hollywood to make it, you either gotta be gay or you gotta play like you gay. Like you talking about Black men, you can't be no masculine Black man and make it in the business. You either gotta play gay or be gay. It's like even when I'm in Dick Gregory told me some off the wall stuff. He might be telling the truth. He said, like, you tell me James Baldwin wasn't really gay. That's what Dick Gregory told me. I said he ain't gay. No, he's just playing, man. It's a hustle, man. And Dick Gregory knew James Baldwin. It's a documentary from back in the day. They was over in England, I think, talking to some Black people back in the day, But Dick tell me that, hey, James was just playing, man. He wasn't really gay. I don't know. Because Dick was privy to a lot of stuff. It's like, I remember talking to Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, who was real close to Dick Gregory, the radio personality out of DC, the Black Eagle. We actually went to WashU. We both belonged to Washington University in St. Louis. But like even he would tell me how it's after Dick passed away, was at Sirius, and he was talking to a group of us, some of the alums. He said how Dick would tell him stuff. Like the problem with Dick was that he wasn't afraid to be out there. Even it took other people years to catch up to what he was saying, but it cost him. They help people understand you being a truth teller would cost you. Like with Martha Mitchell, who was the wife of Nixon's Attorney General, John Mitchell, she was telling the truth, but people thought she was crazy. Like the Nixon administration, the powers that be were making like she was crazy. She was kidnapped. Her husband allowed her to be kidnapped and tortured in California, and tortured. The torture in California. She told the people that she would kidnap and torture, and people didn't believe her. And she would tell them the truth about Watergate. That was going on. People thought she was crazy. But it's called the Martha Mitchell effect. Look it up. I think Netflix got a documentary called the Martha Mitchell effect, where people paint you to be crazy when you tell the truth. And Martha Mitchell allegedly died from bone cancer that spread to her brain. Allegedly, they probably murdered her. She knew that what she was saying was going to get her killed. We don't have that type of bravery no more, but she'll be a social media star today. But Dick started like say stuff, and it came to pass like when Dick was telling people that the original polio vaccine caused cancer in people, people thought he was crazy. And he wrote a letter to Senator Ted Kennedy's office. The because Ted Kennedy's from Massachusetts, Dick is from, he had a big home in Massachusetts, like they're like neighbors, right? And so he got a letter back from Kennedy offices stating that what he said was true, that it did cause cancer to some people, but we was not aware it would cause cancer, according to Kennedy. But he verified what Dick said. You know what Dick Gregory used to say? My truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance. My truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance. Your ignorance. You gotta remember that when you're a truth teller, it's really like Tupac said, me against the world. You know, my own family, like I said, they call me bad news. What I'm trying to do is empower my people and love of my people. They say I'm bad news. You know, women, you know, it's weird, man. I just live an interesting life, but I think I said enough. But getting back to the P Valley, I'm still gonna watch it, but it's troubling. The images. It's like, you know, it's like in Hollywood, you got to sell your black flesh and soul to get on. Because I remember I had a classmate in college. She's a professor now. She went out to Hollywood. She wanted to make it in the movie business, be on the behind the scenes, directing, producing. And this woman had the credentials. She had the right connections. She had the right familial connections. But yet, she told me the reason why she came back east to get her doctorate was because every time she was trying to make moves in Hollywood, everybody wants you to sleep with them. Everybody said, okay, we'll give you this, but you got to do this. You got to do something strange for some change or to make a change or make a move. She said enough was that. She had too much dignity and self-respect, so she came back east, got her doctorate in media studies. Now she's a professor with tenure at a prominent university. But I'm not knocking Brandy or anybody else. You do what you want to do, the way you want to do it. But what I'm saying that I'm realizing as a content creator, as a media person, that it's time for us to have more diversity and a balance. And also, it is time for us to start bringing back Black masculinity as a part of the program. So we are missing out because you got guys, they're not gay. I'm not talking about gay Black men. I'm talking about guys who see their mothers and sisters and aunts got a mouth on them. They be mouthing out. A lot of times they get what they want. As a Black male, you can't have that type of feminine energy and expect to get the respect or results. You know, I can't be like a female relative. I can't pay my light bill. I'm gonna cry. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Oh, woe is me. Oh, somebody might cash app or something. But imagine me as a 42-year-old Black man. Oh man, I just don't know how I'm gonna make it. Please, have mercy on me. I can't do that. I would lose respect for myself. But you can support my platform by donating, because I do got bills like everybody else. And this takes time and research and all that. But be mindful of what you take in and what you listen to and what the intentions are. That's what I'm talking about with the programming. Because y'all get caught up in personalities and all this stuff. I'm looking at, let's look at the facts of the situation, do the research, but control the narrative once more. Control your narrative. That's very important. But you cannot, y'all can put it below the video. Name me one strong Black man in mainstream media. It's acting. I ain't talking about no actors. Don't tell me Denzel. Denzel acting. He's a man, I guess. He's a male, but he be acting in those movies. That's acting. That's make-believe. I'm talking about name me a Black man, whether in your community that you know of, somebody that's well known. You can't name one. Even Will Smith. You know, look how what's going on with Will Smith. So Will Smith is a guy, it's like he got confusion, been confused about his identity since he was a kid. He got insecurities about his masculinity, but yet one of the biggest box office stars in history. Make no mistake about it. Could play a leading man, but can he be the leading man he needs in his real life? Can he be the actual man he needed at 9 years old when his mom was getting her ass kicked allegedly by his father? May he rest in peace. See what I'm saying? Like, We don't have that no more. We don't want, and we need that. You know, protect women. How? You're not raising men. You're not raising men. You know, it's like what people tell me, like, oh, you love Malcolm. Well, you raising, you got a son? Yes. Is he, are you raising him to be like a Malcolm in terms of his integrity and love of service for his people, commitment to his people? Are you teaching them that? People say stuff but don't really do what they say or don't understand what they're saying. That's what I'm saying. But did I cover everything? That's what I'm gonna talk about. Yeah, I touched upon a little bit of stuff. I might go back, but this is good. This is good timing. Thank you all. Thank you all for being patient, for being loving, for being understandable. But we got a lot of work to do, people. This is not a time for vacation. This is not a time for feeling sorry for yourself. Life is short, so don't feel too sorry for yourself. Keep it moving. Do what you can do, and don't worry about the rest. Do what you can do. Don't worry about what other people are or not doing, and get with folks that's doing. That's how you solve these issues. Like, well, y'all talking about Uvalde. I went down Uvalde. That's humanitarian stuff, man. Like, I was in San Antonio for my mom's graduation, but I'm almost mindful, man. I got compassion and empathy for other people. So I went to Uvalde. It was like 87 miles away from San Antonio. And we just so happened to be there on the 1 month anniversary of the mass shooting. I wasn't aware of that. And then we saw the woman, Sister Vanessa Rodriguez, shout out to Social Donations. They had this memorial garden they put down just a couple of hours ago. She was being interviewed by a newsman from San Antonio News. They told me they was having a private graduation for the district that day. So, I mean, it's like God told me to come there, man. And it was very emotional, spiritual. I feel like it was some peace there. I feel like I was at peace. I mean, a lot of violence that happened. Now, if you look at the video I did with me playing my trumpet, that some of y'all can't really stand, I don't care. I noticed something in the replay. I noticed when I was playing my trumpet that the school, you know how the lights come on when it come nighttime, the school light on the building came on. And then before I finished, it went out. The school light came on and then it went out. They was letting me know they heard me. They'll let me know they heard me. And so my thing is, y'all talking about, well, we ain't on code, bro. Y'all can't spell the word code as far as I'm concerned. What code y'all talking about? Y'all keep on talking about this code. But I tell you one thing, you can learn a code. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson left us a code blueprint. Nearly Fuller got us a code blueprint. Black Panther Party had the 10-point platform. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois had a blueprint for us. All this stuff, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just got to do the research and have think tanks and study groups to study this stuff and stop broadcasting everything that we're doing. Like, if y'all gonna go get Carolyn Brown, make a citizen's arrest, do that quietly. Stop broadcasting. We're gonna do this on this date at this time, this address. Because guess what? You're gonna have some people waiting for you. You know, just do things. You know, everything don't have to be known at the time when it's going down. That's how white folks control stuff. They do things and they come back and they control the narrative. They let you know later. This is what actually happened later. You know, National Archives, you know, we'll let you know about the Kennedy thing decades from now. We'll let you know about what happened to MLK a couple of decades from now. But we got the paperwork. But we're going to hold on that. You understand? Stop letting everybody know your moves. This is me at the Alamo. Same down with the Uvalde. People said, Brother Ron, black folks have nothing to do with the Alamo. It was black folks at the Alamo. You had a black mulatto slave named Sarah. She died at the Alamo. Some people say she was fighting for the cause, but see, the white boys, the Texians, whatever they call themselves, the white folks went to Texas to try to extend slavery. They went there for slavery. See, Mexico was against enslaving black people. From my understanding, Mexico was not for slavery. But the white folks from America, they want to make Texas a part of the slaves owning states, right? But you had black folks at the Alamo. We was everywhere. Black folks was always at these places. You know, I'm from Tennessee and I grew up on David Crockett. I used to love the David Crockett TV show and all this stuff when they did the reboot when I was a kid. And I used to read biographies on David Crockett at the school library. I used to read biographies on people like Andrew Jackson, General Black Jack Pershing. All this interest what made people who they were, like what motivated these folks to become great, as they call it. But yeah, I went to the Alamo, paid my respect because this is part of our history, because black folks were at the Alamo. Black folks were at the Alamo. So never forget. But that does it. Okay, I think it's good. 2 o'clock. It's like 2 hours. If I didn't cover everything, my bad, but I gave y'all enough. If you like the words from Brother Hurd, please spread the word. Sign up our YouTube channel, WeAllBeTV. That's WeAllBeTV. Support the movement. You know, make your donations, cash app it, $R2C2H2. That's $R2C2H2. You can also Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle your support at the email r2c2h2@gmail.com. That's r2c2h2@gmail.com. Also, you could buy Art of His Art at r2c2h2.com. Also, you can wear Art of His Art on a shirt. Go below the video description box, access their official Teespring website via their shelf, and the rest is history. So thank you all for being patient, for being loving, for being thoughtful enough to spend your night with me. You could have been anywhere doing anything, but you decided to check in on your brother Ron, and we love you madly for that. But let me read the disclaimer. The views expressed by hosts and guests on the WeAllBeTV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of WeAllBe News or the WeAllBe Group Incorporated. WeAllBe News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. I thank you all. Before I get out here, thank you all people who have donated. Like I said, I have not been looking at the comment section and all that stuff. Been focused on the thing. Let me see. David Crockett was a complex man. I don't necessarily say he fought for what he believed in. He fought and died for what he believed in. See, my thing is about I give people respect, even if I have a disagreement on their perspectives and viewpoints. If you willing to put your life on the line for what you want, you willing to fight for it, you got to give folks their respect. David Crockett was complicated. Like, for example, he did not agree with Andrew Jackson with the Trail of Tears. He wanted the Indians to stay where they was at. You know, but he didn't agree with Andrew Jackson. He was an ally of Andrew Jackson at one point. He went in separate ways from Andrew Jackson, went west to Texas. But it's complex, man. It's like, you know, you look at, we celebrate the 4th of July, right? The founding fathers were slave owners. They benefited from the Institute of Slavery, but they talking about human rights and liberty and self-determination. Somebody like Thomas Jefferson was brilliant, but he owned slaves. One of his slaves was the mother to his children, Sally Hemings. You look at the fact that the founding father that we should talk about, we don't talk about, Thomas Paine. You know, where are the statues and the schools and the buildings, airports and the streets and stuff named for Thomas Paine? Why we don't talk about Thomas Paine, who wrote Common Sense and Rights of Man, who helped provided the literature for the revolution? The reason why a lot of us don't talk about, or Thomas Paine is not better known as one of the founding fathers, is because he was against the Institute of Slavery. He told the other founding fathers they will be hypocrites if you talk about liberty for you all, but not liberty for black people. And so you know what they do to Thomas Paine? Thomas Paine died. His funeral was attended by a small group of people. A lot of them were black people. And then to add injury to insult, they lose his body during transport. So we don't know what happened to Thomas Paine's body. It's been lost to history. And also he's been lost to history. But I think people should reread his works and revisit him because he should be respected as a founding father who had a real conscience. He wanted to free black people. So, 5,000 black people fought with Washington to free this country, make a republic. Like I said, first person to die for America as a republic was Crispus Attucks. March 5th, 1770, Boston Massacre. The person who helped save the country or make the country or win the war was a black slave, James Armistead Lafayette. So you don't have America without black people. America don't have its identity without us, doesn't have any type of cultural heritage without black people. So cut the check. Cut the check, Joe Biden. Cut the check. Yeah, so I think y'all. Yeah, there's a lot to cover, but like I said, like people say, well, you are over the place. There's so much to cover. In my mind, the fact that I could be on here for 2 hours and give y'all something, that's a miracle. Because like people don't understand. I tell my mom I be going through stuff. I don't think everybody know what's going on. I just keep it to myself. I mean, we all got a price though. Some people price are cheaper than others. Like, do you know your worth? Does anybody know their worth? Because people say I work for myself. Well, who money you using? Who's face on the money that you earning, that you making a living off of it? We all are pawns in this game. Yeah, they him tell it, and let black folks believe it. Yeah, I'll play power. We don't honor the people. We don't really care about the real ones, man. Like what Memphis, they honoring Ida B. Wells, but really, there's a bunch of white folks that feel guilty about how they did Ida B. Wells 130 years ago. You got a street name out there. They got a statue. But if the real Ida B. Wells came back, we would run her way again. Like we don't like when black folks who love us hold us accountable for anything, who serve us with the best of their ability and talent. Black folks are such an ungrateful people, man. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. could have lived his whole life as a white man, but he chose to be a black man. He paid a price for it. There's some great books about Adam Clayton Powell. You also, if y'all like movies, look at the movie Keep the Faith, starring Harry Lennox as Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and Vanessa Williams as his wife, Hazel Scott. Hazel Scott was an amazing black woman. One of the first black people to have our own TV show. Was a brilliant musician, was an intellectual and a civil rights activist. We don't even talk about Hazel Scott no more, man. Our people are weird. We talked about Cardi B interviewing Joe Biden. But Hazel Scott, these people were truly beyond category. They love being black and serving black people, but we forget about them. Now, Donald Trump actually was open. We had a better shot at getting reparations with Donald Trump than with Biden. See, Donald Trump is a businessman. He's all about making a deal. Let's make a deal, because we gotta understand, we close to World War III and everything else now than we was with Trump. And that's another story, because people get caught up in people's personalities. To be a president, to want to be president, you got to be a narcissist. You got to be a megalomaniac. Ain't no such thing as a person who wants to be president of the United States who ain't got some mental thing going on with them. You got to be a megalomaniac or narcissist to even want to be president of the United States. Y'all not like Donald Trump the only one, please. No. Okay, I think y'all. Oh, okay. Thank you, Brother Tyrone. We love you madly. I'm just trying to go through the comments and the chats before I get out of here. I thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, That's some deep stuff, brother. Yeah, Elvis, man, Elvis is interesting, but like Elvis, he no different to me than R. Kelly. And I don't have no problem listening to Elvis. And that's another thing, people keep on saying that black folks didn't like Elvis. Black folks love Elvis. It's a lot. I know black folks, my mom and them, they love Elvis. Elvis did things for black folks in Memphis. He was buying folks Cadillacs and stuff. And like I said, his favorite minister was a black dude named Dr. William H. Brewster at East Trigg Avenue Church. That old building still exists. They got a newer church next to it, but the old historic building where Elvis used to come on Sundays to listen to Dr. Brewster and his choir, that still exists. We did a program for Four Pillow in that building. It's powerful. But Dr. William Brewster was Jayland to Mahalia Jackson. He wrote "Move On Up a Little Higher" that made Mahalia Jackson a star. I mean, a superstar. That thing sold millions of copies. But sometimes Dr. Brewster don't get the credit for it. But he wrote that "Move On Up a Little Higher." But yeah, Elvis was interesting, man. Like I said, people thought he was murdered because he was going to testify against some mob figures, some major mob figures, and they killed him. And that was in August, August 16th. So don't be surprised if something happened to R. Kelly on August 16th. It's like August 16th is the death for kings. You understand? Elvis, Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues, died August 16th, 1938. Riri, Queen of Soul, died August 16th, 2018. Was it 2018? Yeah, 2018. And then you have Babe Ruth, King of SWAT, King of Baseball, died August 16th, 1948. So don't be surprised they take R. Kelly out of here. August 16th. Yeah, I got a poll. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's like we try to compare people in their time with our time standards. We have no standards. Like I said, Judge was being disingenuous by R. Kelly because you look at the Vatican, the Catholic Church, how they protected pedophiles and predators for generations. It's about Dr. Larry Nassar, I believe his name, the gymnast doctor who abused people like Simone Biles and other gymnasts, world-class athletes for years, with the protection of institutions like the Olympics, Gymnastics Committee, I believe the name of it, and also where you was at Michigan State University. I want to say it was Michigan State University, one of those Michigan universities. Protected him for years. Or you look at Joe Paterno boy, Jerry Sandusky, was protected by Joe Paterno, a father figure, one of the all-time great, one winningest football coaches in college history, and he was protected by Penn State. They all knew what Jerry Sandusky was doing through those underprivileged boys. I bet the majority of them boys were black boys. And you got race soldiers in law enforcement. You always had that. You had the FBI and the Klan. You had the FBI and the Klan killing black folks and activists. This is well documented. So this race soldiers and law enforcement didn't happen. It's been like that. It's been like that. So I think that's it. Thank y'all. That's how they pay you off, man. Can you think about them Hollywood people that were so-called taken advantage of by Harvey Weinstein? They made a choice to get on that casting couch. And then when they got old and the career opportunities dried up, that's when they got mad. That's when they get mad and bitter and resentful. I mean, but Harvey Weinstein, he's not a monster like they make him out to be. He's a product of a system. You think about things Marilyn Monroe had to do to get roles and stuff like that. Marilyn Monroe had a high IQ. But think about the things she had to do. Think about Judy Garland, Dorothy Dandridge. That's always been the culture of Hollywood. You hear tales about leading men like Clark Gable. He allegedly raped this woman, this actress named Loretta Young. I think her name Loretta Young. She had a child by Clark Gable because of the rape. I think it's Loretta Young. I mean, don't give me. I look at this stuff. You hear all types of weird tales. Actress. Yeah, Loretta Young, Clark Gable. She said Clark Gable raped her at 20. I think she was a Catholic, and she ended up having the child was a daughter. But I don't think her daughter knew to after. She revealed at the age of 85 she had been date raped by Clark Gable. This stuff happened. I heard a story about Ronald Reagan raping women when he was a president of the Screen Actors Guild, allegedly. I mean, this stuff is online, man. I mean, you got to pay to play. Yeah, you correct. You talking about Fred Hampton saying they killed him while he was sleeping. You know, they had one of the longest civil trials in U.S. history. And the families of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark was awarded like almost $2 million, which really was chump change. You think about the loss, you know. But yeah, the movie Judas and the Black Messiah deals with that. And, you know, I had talked to Fred Hampton's mom years ago before she passed in 2016. She passed in 2016, but I believe I talked to her back in 2010, either 2010 or 2011. I thanked her because she also babysitted Emmett Till. She was Emmett Till's babysitter who got killed at 14, and the government started watching her son, monitoring her son at 14, tapping their phones and stuff. So we don't know who we are. Like I said, Dr. King's family was under government surveillance for 3 generations. They started with his maternal grandfather. The government started watching Dr. King's maternal grandfather. And like I said, Dr. King's name was not Martin at first, it was Michael. And people in his inner circle still call him Michael. So I don't know if his name was even officially changed to Martin Luther King Jr., but he was Michael. It was Michael King Jr. at first. But let me get out of here, folks. Thank y'all so much. And catch me in the whirlwind. We love you madly.